Question 1. Why would Kevin link learners start feeling nervous after a certain chime is repeatedly paired with a pop quiz to one major educational psychology idea? Option A. Constructivism. Option B. Operant conditioning. Option C. Metacognition. Option D. Classical conditioning. The correct answer is option D. Classical conditioning. This describes classical conditioning because a neutral stimulus becomes linked with an emotional response after repeated pairings. Constructivism is not the best choice because it explains active meaning-making, not a reflexive conditioned response. Operant conditioning is different because it focuses on consequences after behavior rather than associations before a response. Metacognition does not fit because it concerns thinking about one's own thinking, not learned emotional associations. Question 2. A practice item tells Kevin that a teacher adds praise after a learner participates and participation increases. Which concept is most likely? Option A. Punishment. Option B. Extinction. Option C. Positive reinforcement. Option D. Negative reinforcement. The correct answer is option C. Positive reinforcement. This describes positive reinforcement because a desirable consequence is added after a behavior, making that behavior more likely. Punishment is not the best choice because it aims to reduce behavior rather than increase it. Extinction is different because it weakens behavior by withholding reinforcement. Negative reinforcement does not fit because it removes an unpleasant condition rather than adding a reward. Question 3. Before answering, Kevin identifies that learners complete homework early to avoid a weekly reminder call home. Which term should be chosen? Option A. Classical conditioning. Option B. Response cost. Option C. Negative reinforcement. Option D. Positive reinforcement. The correct answer is option C. Negative reinforcement. This describes negative reinforcement because a behavior increases because it helps the learner avoid or remove something unpleasant. Classical conditioning is not the best choice because it involves stimulus association rather than consequences shaping behavior. Response cost is different because it removes a privilege after misbehavior. Positive reinforcement does not fit because it adds a pleasant consequence rather than removing an unpleasant one. Question 4. Which choice helps Kevin explain why a learner receives an extra cleanup task after throwing paper and the behavior decreases in a peer study circle? Option A. Shaping. Option B. Positive punishment. Option C. Positive reinforcement. Option D. Negative reinforcement. The correct answer is option B. Positive punishment. This describes positive punishment because an unpleasant consequence is added to reduce an unwanted behavior. Shaping is not the best choice because it builds behavior through small reinforced steps. Positive reinforcement is different because it adds something desirable to increase behavior. Negative reinforcement does not fit because it increases behavior by removing something unpleasant. Question 5. How can Kevin classify a classroom moment where a teacher rewards each closer attempt as a shy learner gradually speaks louder in class? Option A. Fixed ratio schedule. Option B. Reciprocal teaching. Option C. Extinction. Option D. Shaping. The correct answer is option D. Shaping. This describes shaping because successive approximations are reinforced until the desired behavior develops. Fixed ratio schedule is not the best choice because it reinforces after a set number of responses, not gradual progress. Reciprocal teaching is different because it uses student-led reading strategies rather than behavior building. Extinction does not fit because it reduces behavior by removing reinforcement. Question 6. Suppose Kevin observes that a teacher stops laughing at off-task jokes and the jokes slowly fade away. Which concept is shown? Option A. Punishment. Option B. Spaced practice. Option C. Extinction. Option D. Modeling. The correct answer is option C. Extinction. This describes extinction because a previously reinforced behavior decreases when reinforcement is no longer provided. Punishment is not the best choice because it adds or removes a consequence to reduce behavior more directly. Spaced practice is different because it improves memory through distributed study sessions. Modeling does not fit because it involves learning by watching others. Question 7. While reviewing, Kevin sees a learner keeps answering review questions because bonus points appear after unpredictable numbers of correct responses. Which idea matches the situation? Option A. Variable ratio schedule. Option B. Fixed interval schedule. Option C. Fixed ratio schedule. Option D. Variable interval schedule. The correct answer is option A. Variable ratio schedule. This describes variable ratio schedule because reinforcement occurs after an unpredictable number of responses, which often produces steady responding. Fixed interval schedule is not the best choice because it rewards the first response after a set amount of time. fixed ratio schedule is different because it rewards after a predictable number of responses. Variable interval schedule does not fit because it rewards after changing time intervals rather than response counts. Question 8. One interesting clue says learners work hardest right before a quiz that happens every Friday. Which educational psychology term fits for Kevin? Option A, fixed interval schedule. Option B, fixed ratio schedule. Option C, variable ratio schedule. Option D, token economy. The correct answer is option A, fixed interval schedule. This describes fixed interval schedule because reinforcement is available after a predictable amount of time has passed. Fixed ratio schedule is not the best choice because it depends on a set number of responses. Variable ratio schedule is different because it depends on unpredictable response counts. Token economy does not fit because it uses symbolic rewards exchanged for privileges. Question 9. From this example, where a child copies a classmate's polite hand-raising after seeing the classmate praised, which answer should Kevin select? Option A, classical conditioning. Option B, insight learning. Option C, trial and error learning. Option D, observational learning. The correct answer is option D, observational learning. This describes observational learning because the learner changes behavior after watching another person and the consequences that follow. Classical conditioning is not the best choice because it links stimuli rather than modeling behavior. Insight learning is different because it involves a sudden solution, not imitation. Trial and error learning does not fit because it depends on personal attempts and feedback rather than watching a model. Question 10. Students in a tutoring table discuss why a learner with strong belief in personal ability chooses harder practice problems. Which concept gives the best explanation? Option A, external locus of control. Option B, intrinsic motivation. Option C, self-efficacy. Option D, self-concept. The correct answer is option C, self-efficacy. This describes self-efficacy because the learner's belief in their capability affects effort, persistence, and challenge choice. External locus of control is not the best choice because it attributes outcomes to outside forces rather than personal capability. Intrinsic motivation is different because it refers to interest or enjoyment, not belief in ability. Self-concept does not fit because it is a broader view of oneself, not task-specific competence. Question 11. Teachers in a classroom discussion wonder why a learner's confidence, classroom behavior, and teacher response all influence one another. Which principle applies? Option A, maturation. Option B, reciprocal determinism. Option C, norm reference testing. Option D, classical conditioning. The correct answer is option B, reciprocal determinism. This describes reciprocal determinism because personal factors, behavior, and environment interact in a two-way pattern. Maturation is not the best choice because it emphasizes biological growth rather than social interaction cycles. Norm reference testing is different because it compares scores to other test takers. Classical conditioning does not fit because it focuses on learned stimulus associations. Question 12. Can Kevin treat a teacher gives sentence starters at first and slowly removes them as learners improve as evidence of which concept? Option A, summative assessment. Option B, extinction. Option C, scaffolding. Option D, standardization. The correct answer is option C, scaffolding. This describes scaffolding because temporary support is provided and then withdrawn as learners become more independent. Summative assessment is not the best choice because it evaluates learning after instruction is complete. Extinction is different because it removes reinforcement to reduce behavior. Standardization does not fit because it keeps testing procedures the same for everyone. Question 13. If Kevin must answer quickly, which idea is signaled when a learner can solve a problem with hints but not yet alone? Option A, reliability. Option B, zone of proximal development. Option C, formal operational stage. Option D, mastery learning. The correct answer is option B, zone of proximal development. This describes zone of proximal development because the task sits between independent ability and what the learner can do with support. Reliability is not the best choice because it concerns score consistency, not learning support. Formal operational stage is different because it describes abstract reasoning, not support level. Mastery learning does not fit because it requires reaching a performance standard before moving on. Question 14. Rather than guessing, Kevin should connect a child calls a zebra a horse because it fits an existing animal category with which concept? Option A, assimilation. Option B, conservation. Option C, accommodation. Option D, encoding. The correct answer is option A, assimilation. This describes assimilation because new information is interpreted using an existing mental schema. Conservation is not the best choice because it is understanding that quantity can stay the same despite appearance changes. Accommodation is different because it changes the schema to fit new information. Encoding does not fit because it is getting information into memory. Question 15. Curiosity rises when Kevin reads that a child changes the animal category after learning zebras are not horses. Which term solves the puzzle? Option A, assimilation. Option B, class inclusion. Option C, rehearsal. Option D, accommodation. The correct answer is option D, accommodation. This describes accommodation because an existing schema is revised when new information does not fit. Assimilation is not the best choice because it would force new information into an old schema. Class inclusion is different because it involves understanding category relationships. Rehearsal does not fit because it is repeating information to maintain it in memory. Question 16. A CLEP-style scenario says a child solves conservation tasks but struggles with purely hypothetical logic. Which answer best captures it for Kevin? Option A, formal operational thinking. Option B, concrete operational thinking. Option C, sensoromotor thinking. Option D, pre-operational thinking. The correct answer is option B, concrete operational thinking. This describes concrete operational thinking because children can reason logically about concrete objects but not fully abstract possibilities. Formal operational thinking is not the best choice because it includes abstract and hypothetical reasoning. Sensoromotor thinking is different because it centers on infant sensory and motor exploration. Pre-operational thinking does not fit because it often lacks conservation and logical reversibility. Question 17. Inside a student coaching session, Kevin studies why a teen reasons through a hypothetical justice problem without needing physical examples. Which concept fits? Option A, pre-operational thinking. Option B, object permanence. Option C, concrete operational thinking. Option D, formal operational thinking. The correct answer is option D, formal operational thinking. This describes formal operational thinking because abstract and hypothetical reasoning are key features of the stage. Pre-operational thinking is not the best choice because it is marked by symbolic thought but limited logic. Object permanence is different because it is an infant understanding that objects still exist when unseen. Concrete operational thinking does not fit because it works best with tangible examples. Question 18. Looking at the clue that an infant searches for a hidden toy instead of acting as if it disappeared, which idea should Kevin remember? Option A, object permanence. Option B, centration. Option C, conservation. Option D, ecocentrism. The correct answer is option A, object permanence. This describes object permanence because the child understands that objects continue to exist even when out of sight. Centration is not the best choice because it means focusing on one feature while ignoring others. Conservation is different because it involves understanding quantity despite appearance changes. Ecocentrism does not fit because it involves difficulty taking another person's viewpoint. Question 19. Kevin sees that an elementary student gains pride from mastering reading and classroom skills during a peer study circle. Which concept best explains it? Option A, trust versus mistrust. Option B, identity versus role confusion. Option C, industry versus inferiority. Option D, generativity versus stagnation. The correct answer is option C, industry versus inferiority. This describes industry versus inferiority because school-age children build competence through successful work and feedback. Trust versus mistrust is not the best choice because it centers on infant caregiver reliability. Identity versus role confusion is different because it is mainly an adolescent search for personal identity. Generativity versus stagnation does not fit because it focuses on adult contribution to others. Question 20. When Kevin notices that a teenager explores values, careers and beliefs to answer who they are in a bright review class, which idea is being tested? Option A, intimacy versus isolation. Option B, industry versus inferiority. Option C, identity versus role confusion. Option D, autonomy versus shame. The correct answer is option C, identity versus role confusion. This describes identity versus role confusion because adolescents work toward a stable sense of self and direction. Intimacy versus isolation is not the best choice because it usually involves young adult relationships. Industry versus inferiority is different because it focuses on school-age competence. Autonomy versus shame does not fit because it describes toddlers building independence. Question 21. During a quiet study group, Kevin studies a case where a learner says cheating is wrong because rules and community expectations matter. Which term fits best? Option A, moral realism. Option B, conventional morality. Option C, pre-conventional morality. Option D, post-conventional morality. The correct answer is option B, conventional morality. This describes conventional morality because moral reasoning is based on social approval, rules, and maintaining order. Moral realism is not the best choice because it treats rules as fixed and unchangeable. Pre-conventional morality is different because it focuses on rewards and punishments. Post-conventional morality does not fit because it uses broad ethical principles beyond rules. Question 22. In an online prep session, Kevin asks why a child avoids lying mainly to escape punishment or earn a reward. Which answer names the idea? Option A, identity achievement. Option B, post-conventional morality. Option C, pre-conventional morality. Option D, conventional morality. The correct answer is option C, pre-conventional morality. This describes pre-conventional morality because moral decisions are driven by personal consequences such as punishment or reward. Identity achievement is not the best choice because it describes commitment after exploration, not moral reasoning. Post-conventional morality is different because it reasons from abstract principles and rights. Conventional morality does not fit because it emphasizes rules and approval from society. Question 23. After reading that a learner argues that a rule should be challenged when it violates basic human rights, how should Kevin label the concept? Option A, post-conventional morality. Option B, conventional morality. Option C, learned helplessness. Option D, pre-conventional morality. The correct answer is option A, post-conventional morality. This describes post-conventional morality because moral reasoning is guided by universal principles rather than simple rule following. Conventional morality is not the best choice because it generally supports rules and social order. Learned helplessness is different because it concerns giving up after repeated failure. Pre-conventional morality does not fit because it focuses on personal gain or punishment. Question 24. For a short exam review, Kevin connects a teacher plan's choices that include music, movement, language, and spatial design with which principle? Option A, working memory. Option B, G-factor. Option C, norm reference testing. Option D, multiple intelligences. The correct answer is option D, multiple intelligences. This describes multiple intelligences because the approach treats ability as varied across different domains of strength. Working memory is not the best choice because it is a limited mental workspace. G-factor is different because it emphasizes a general intelligence factor. Norm reference testing does not fit because it compares learners to a group. Question 25. Could a case where an assignment asks learners to solve problems, create products, and apply ideas in daily life be an example of which concept for Kevin? Option A, criterion reference testing. Option B, multiple intelligences. Option C, triarchic intelligence. Option D, fluid intelligence. The correct answer is option C, triarchic intelligence. This describes triarchic intelligence because Sternberg's model highlights analytical, creative, and practical intelligence. Criterion reference testing is not the best choice because it measures performance against standards. Multiple intelligences is different because it lists broader domains such as musical or bodily kinesthetic abilities. Fluid intelligence does not fit because it refers to novel problem-solving ability. Question 26. Why would Kevin link a learner studies child development? Because the topic feels genuinely fascinating to one major educational psychology idea. Option A, extrinsic motivation. Option B, negative reinforcement. Option C, intrinsic motivation. Option D, performance goal. The correct answer is option C, intrinsic motivation. This describes intrinsic motivation because the behavior is driven by interest, curiosity, or enjoyment of the activity itself. Extrinsic motivation is not the best choice because it depends on outside rewards or pressures. Negative reinforcement is different because it increases behavior by removing something unpleasant. Performance goal does not fit because it focuses on looking competent compared with others. Question 27. A practice item tells Kevin that a learner completes extra practice mainly to earn a gift card. Which concept is most likely? Option A, intrinsic motivation. Option B, mastery goal. Option C, self-regulation. Option D, extrinsic motivation. The correct answer is option D, extrinsic motivation. This describes extrinsic motivation because the behavior is driven by an outside reward rather than the activity itself. Intrinsic motivation is not the best choice because it comes from interest or enjoyment. Mastery goal is different because it emphasizes learning and improvement. Self-regulation does not fit because it involves planning and monitoring one's learning. Question 28. Before answering, Kevin identifies that a learner chooses difficult questions to improve understanding even if mistakes happen. Which term should be chosen? Option A, avoidance goal. Option B, fixed mindset. Option C, performance goal. Option D, mastery goal. The correct answer is option D, mastery goal. This describes mastery goal because the focus is on growth, learning, and skill development. Avoidance goal is not the best choice because it focuses on avoiding failure or embarrassment. Fixed mindset is different because it treats ability as unchangeable. Performance goal does not fit because it focuses on proving ability or outperforming others. Question 29. Which choice helps Kevin explain why a learner studies mainly to score higher than classmates and appear smart in a final review session? Option A, metacognition. Option B, mastery goal. Option C, performance goal. Option D, intrinsic motivation. The correct answer is option C, performance goal. This describes performance goal because the learner is focused on demonstrating ability relative to others. Metacognition is not the best choice because it involves awareness and control of thinking. Mastery goal is different because it centers on improvement and understanding. Intrinsic motivation does not fit because it centers on enjoyment or curiosity. Question 30. How can Kevin classify a classroom moment where a learner explains a failed test by blaming effort, task difficulty, luck, or ability? Option A, information processing theory. Option B, attribution theory. Option C, constructivism. Option D, classroom ecology. The correct answer is option B, attribution theory. This describes attribution theory because it examines how people explain causes of success and failure. Information processing theory is not the best choice because it explains how information moves through memory systems. Constructivism is different because it emphasizes building meaning from experience. Classroom ecology does not fit because it focuses on classroom environment patterns. Question 31. Suppose Kevin observes that a learner stops trying because repeated failures made success feel impossible. Which concept is shown? Option A, growth mindset. Option B, positive transfer. Option C, learned helplessness. Option D, self-efficacy. The correct answer is option C, learned helplessness. This describes learned helplessness because repeated uncontrollable failure can reduce motivation and effort. Growth mindset is not the best choice because it supports belief that ability can improve. Positive transfer is different because it happens when prior learning helps new learning. Self-efficacy does not fit because it refers to belief in capability, not resignation. Question 32. While reviewing, Kevin sees a learner treats mistakes as evidence that a skill can improve with strategy and effort. Which idea matches the situation? Option A, external attribution. Option B, growth mindset. Option C, entity theory. Option D, fixed mindset. The correct answer is option B, growth mindset. This describes growth mindset because ability is viewed as developable through effort, feedback, and better strategies. External attribution is not the best choice because it places causes outside the learner. Entity theory is different because it is another way to describe fixed views of ability. Fixed mindset does not fit because it treats ability as stable and hard to change. Question 33. One interesting clue says a hungry, unsafe student struggles to focus on a challenging lesson. Which educational psychology term fits for Kevin? Option A, classical conditioning. Option B, Bloom taxonomy. Option C, Kohlberg theory. Option D, Maslow hierarchy of needs. The correct answer is option D, Maslow hierarchy of needs. This describes Maslow hierarchy of needs because basic physiological and safety needs can affect readiness for higher level learning. Classical conditioning is not the best choice because it explains learned stimulus response associations. Bloom taxonomy is different because it classifies cognitive learning objectives. Kohlberg theory does not fit because it describes moral reasoning development. Question 34. From this example, where a learner loses track while solving a long mental math problem with many steps, which answer should Kevin select? Option A, long-term memory. Option B, procedural memory. Option C, working memory. Option D, sensory memory. The correct answer is option C, working memory. This describes working memory because working memory is the limited mental space used to hold and process information temporarily. Long-term memory is not the best choice because it stores information over extended periods. Procedural memory is different because it stores skills and habits. Sensory memory does not fit because it briefly holds raw sensory input. Question 35. Students in a Bright Review class discuss why a learner recalls a teaching theory studied weeks earlier. Which concept gives the best explanation? Option A, working memory. Option B, long-term memory. Option C, sensory memory. Option D, selective attention. The correct answer is option B, long-term memory. This describes long-term memory because information retained over time is stored in long-term memory. Working memory is not the best choice because it is temporary and limited during active thinking. Sensory memory is different because it lasts only briefly after stimulation. Selective attention does not fit because it filters what receives mental focus. Question 36. Teachers in a quiet study group wonder why a learner turns a new vocabulary term into a meaningful example to remember it. Which principle applies? Option A, validity. Option B, retrieval. Option C, encoding. Option D, extinction. The correct answer is option C, encoding. This describes encoding because encoding is the process of getting information into memory in a usable form. Validity is not the best choice because it concerns whether a test measures what it should. Retrieval is different because it involves pulling stored information back out. Extinction does not fit because it weakens a learned behavior. Question 37. Can Kevin treat a learner closes the book and answers questions from memory to strengthen recall as evidence of which concept? Option A, summative assessment. Option B, retrieval practice. Option C, massed practice. Option D, centration. The correct answer is option B, retrieval practice. This describes retrieval practice because actively recalling information improves later memory more than simply rereading. Summative assessment is not the best choice because it evaluates learning at the end of instruction. Massed practice is different because it compresses study into one long session. Centration does not fit because it means focusing on one feature of a situation. Question 38. If Kevin must answer quickly, which idea is signaled when a learner studies the same concepts in short sessions across several days? Option A, shaping. Option B, norming. Option C, spaced practice. Option D, massed practice. The correct answer is option C, spaced practice. This describes spaced practice because learning is distributed over time, which usually supports stronger retention. Shaping is not the best choice because it reinforces gradual behavior changes. Norming is different because it creates comparison data for a test. Massed practice does not fit because it packs study into one concentrated period. Question 39. Rather than guessing, Kevin should connect a learner links a new theory to personal classroom experiences with which concept? Option A, reliability. Option B, extinction. Option C, rote rehearsal. Option D, elaboration. The correct answer is option D, elaboration. This describes elaboration because new information is made more meaningful by connecting it to existing knowledge. Reliability is not the best choice because it refers to consistency of measurement. Extinction is different because it removes reinforcement to reduce behavior. Rote rehearsal does not fit because it repeats information without adding meaning. Question 40. Curiosity rises when Kevin reads that a learner groups a long list of theorists into behaviorist, cognitive, and social categories. Which term solves the puzzle? Option A, response cost. Option B, chunking. Option C, accommodation. Option D, overlearning. The correct answer is option B, chunking. This describes chunking because information is organized into meaningful units to reduce memory load. Response cost is not the best choice because it removes a privilege to reduce behavior. Accommodation is different because it changes a schema to fit new information. Overlearning does not fit because it continues practice after initial mastery. Question 41. A CLEP-style scenario says a learner checks which topics are weak and adjusts the study plan. Which answer best captures it for Kevin? Option A, automaticity. Option B, metacognition. Option C, extrinsic motivation. Option D, classical conditioning. The correct answer is option B, metacognition. This describes metacognition because the learner monitors and controls their own thinking and learning strategies. Automaticity is not the best choice because it means a skill requires little conscious effort. Extrinsic motivation is different because it depends on external rewards. Classical conditioning does not fit because it involves learned associations. Question 42. Inside a quick quiz review, Kevin studies why knowledge from a statistics lesson helps a learner understand test reliability. Which concept fits? Option A, negative punishment. Option B, transfer of learning. Option C, cognitive dissonance. Option D, extinction. The correct answer is option B, transfer of learning. This describes transfer of learning because previous learning influences performance in a new but related situation. Negative punishment is not the best choice because it removes something desirable to reduce behavior. Cognitive dissonance is different because it involves discomfort from conflicting beliefs. Extinction does not fit because it reduces behavior when reinforcement stops. Question 43. Looking at the clue that a teacher gives a big picture concept map before a complex lesson begins, which idea should Kevin remember? Option A, token economy. Option B, advance organizer. Option C, random assignment. Option D, exit ticket. The correct answer is option B, advance organizer. This describes advance organizer because a preview structure helps learners connect new information to prior knowledge. Token economy is not the best choice because it uses symbolic rewards. Random assignment is different because it places participants into groups by chance. Exit ticket does not fit because it checks understanding at the end of a lesson. Question 44. Kevin sees that a learner uses an existing mental framework about classrooms to understand a new teaching method during a final review session. Which concept best explains it? Option A, percentile rank. Option B, schema. Option C, rubric. Option D, reinforcer. The correct answer is option B, schema. This describes schema because a schema is an organized knowledge structure used to interpret information. Percentile rank is not the best choice because it shows relative standing in a group. Rubric is different because it is a scoring guide. Reinforcer does not fit because it is a consequence that increases behavior. Question 45. When Kevin notices that too many visuals, terms, and steps overwhelm a learner during a first lesson in a learning lab, which idea is being tested? Option A, reliability. Option B, cognitive load. Option C, intrinsic motivation. Option D, egocentrism. The correct answer is option B, cognitive load. This describes cognitive load because working memory can become overloaded when too much information must be processed at once. Reliability is not the best choice because it concerns consistency of scores. Intrinsic motivation is different because it concerns interest and enjoyment. Egocentrism does not fit because it means difficulty taking another viewpoint. Question 46. During an after-school class, Kevin studies a case where learners build their own understanding through discussion, examples, and problem solving. Which term fits best? Option A, constructivism. Option B, standardization. Option C, maturation. Option D, behaviorism. The correct answer is option A, constructivism. This describes constructivism because learners actively construct meaning rather than simply receive information. Standardization is not the best choice because it keeps procedures uniform. Maturation is different because it emphasizes biological growth. Behaviorism does not fit because it emphasizes observable behavior and consequences. Question 47. In a student coaching session, Kevin asks why learners investigate a question, gather evidence, and develop an explanation. Which answer names the idea? Option A, inquiry-based learning. Option B, direct instruction. Option C, fixed ratio reinforcement. Option D, norm-referenced assessment. The correct answer is option A, inquiry-based learning. This describes inquiry-based learning because learning begins with questions and exploration rather than only direct telling. Direct instruction is not the best choice because it uses clear teacher-led explanation and guided practice. Fixed ratio reinforcement is different because it rewards after a set number of responses. Norm-referenced assessment does not fit because it compares students to one another. Question 48. After reading that a teacher models a skill, guides practice, checks understanding, and gives feedback, how should Kevin label the concept? Option A, peer tutoring. Option B, direct instruction. Option C, portfolio assessment. Option D, discovery learning. The correct answer is option B, direct instruction. This describes direct instruction because the method uses explicit teaching steps and structured practice. Peer tutoring is not the best choice because it uses students helping students. Portfolio assessment is different because it collects work over time. Discovery learning does not fit because it expects students to uncover ideas with less direct guidance. Question 49. For a short exam review, Kevin connects learners' work in small groups with shared goals and individual accountability with which principle? Option A, independent study. Option B, lecture method. Option C, competitive learning. Option D, cooperative learning. The correct answer is option D, cooperative learning. This describes cooperative learning because learners collaborate while each member remains responsible for contributing. Independent study is not the best choice because it relies on solo learning. Lecture method is different because it centers on teacher presentation. Competitive learning does not fit because it ranks students against one another. Question 50. Could a case where a teacher adjusts tasks, materials, and support based on learner readiness be an example of which concept for Kevin? Option A. Standardized instruction. Option B. Differentiated instruction. Option C. Random sampling. Option D. Summative assessment. The correct answer is option B. Differentiated instruction. This describes differentiated instruction because instruction is adapted to different needs while keeping meaningful learning goals. Standardized instruction is not the best choice because it delivers the same approach to all students. Random sampling is different because it selects participants for research. Summative assessment does not fit because it evaluates after instruction. Question 51. Why would Kevin link a lesson offers text, audio, visuals, and different ways to show understanding from the start to one major educational psychology idea? Option A. Universal design for learning. Option B. Accommodation only. Option C. Mastery grading. Option D. Tracking. The correct answer is option A. Universal design for learning. This describes universal design for learning because UDL plans flexible access and expression options before barriers appear. Accommodation only is not the best choice because it changes access for an individual after a need is identified. Mastery grading is different because it focuses on reaching standards before moving ahead. Tracking does not fit because it separates students into groups by perceived ability. Question 52. A practice item tells Kevin that a teacher uses a quick exit question to adjust tomorrow's lesson. Which concept is most likely? Option A. Formative assessment. Option B. Placement test. Option C. Norm-referenced assessment. Option D. Summative assessment. The correct answer is option A. Formative assessment. This describes formative assessment because the assessment is used during learning to guide instruction and feedback. Placement test is not the best choice because it sorts students before instruction begins. Norm-referenced assessment is different because it compares performance to other learners. Summative assessment does not fit because it judges learning after instruction is complete. Question 53. Before answering, Kevin identifies that a final exam measures what learners learned after the unit ends. Which term should be chosen? Option A. Formative assessment. Option B. Anecdotal record. Option C. Diagnostic assessment. Option D. Summative assessment. The correct answer is option D. Summative assessment. This describes summative assessment because the assessment evaluates achievement at the end of a learning period. Formative assessment is not the best choice because it guides instruction during learning. Anecdotal record is different because it is a brief observational note. Diagnostic assessment does not fit because it identifies starting strengths and needs. Question 54. Which choice helps Kevin explain why a learner's score is judged against a fixed standard of mastery in a practice test workshop? Option A. Norm-referenced assessment. Option B. Informal observation. Option C. Criterion-referenced assessment. Option D. Ipsative assessment. The correct answer is option C. Criterion-referenced assessment. This describes criterion-referenced assessment because performance is compared with defined criteria rather than other students. Norm-referenced assessment is not the best choice because it compares students to a reference group. Informal observation is different because it is not necessarily tied to a fixed standard. Ipsative assessment does not fit because it compares a student to their own past performance. Question 55. How can Kevin classify a classroom moment where a score report shows how a learner performed compared with a national sample? Option A. Criterion-referenced assessment. Option B. Authentic assessment. Option C. Norm-referenced assessment. Option D. Formative assessment. The correct answer is option C. Norm-referenced assessment. This describes norm-referenced assessment because the score is interpreted relative to other test takers. Criterion-referenced assessment is not the best choice because it compares performance to a standard. Authentic assessment is different because it uses real-world tasks. Formative assessment does not fit because it is used during learning for improvement. Question 56. Suppose Kevin observes that a test gives similar results when the same skill is measured repeatedly. Which concept is shown? Option A. Reliability. Option B. Validity. Option C. Bias. Option D. Percentile rank. The correct answer is option A. Reliability. This describes reliability because reliability means scores are consistent across time, items, or raters. Validity is not the best choice because it asks whether the test measures the intended construct. Bias is different because it concerns unfair advantage or disadvantage. Percentile rank does not fit because it reports relative standing. Question 57. While reviewing, Kevin sees a math test actually measures math reasoning instead of reading speed. Which idea matches the situation? Option A, inter-rater agreement. Option B, reliability. Option C, standard error. Option D, validity. The correct answer is option D, validity. This describes validity because validity concerns whether an assessment measures what it claims to measure. Inter-rater agreement is not the best choice because it is one form of consistency between scorers. Reliability is different because it concerns consistency, not meaning. Standard error does not fit because it estimates score uncertainty. Question 58. One interesting clue says all examines receive the same directions, timing, and scoring rules. Which educational psychology term fits for Kevin? Option A, standardized test. Option B, informal assessment. Option C, portfolio assessment. Option D, authentic assessment. The correct answer is option A, standardized test. This describes standardized test because standardization keeps testing conditions uniform so scores can be interpreted fairly. Informal assessment is not the best choice because it may be flexible and teacher-made. Portfolio assessment is different because it collects multiple pieces of work over time. Authentic assessment does not fit because it asks students to perform realistic tasks. Question 59. From this example, where learners design a real classroom plan instead of only selecting answers on a test, which answer should Kevin select? Option A, forced choice test. Option B, authentic assessment. Option C, standardized assessment. Option D, norm-referenced assessment. The correct answer is option B, authentic assessment. This describes authentic assessment because students demonstrate learning through realistic tasks and products. Forced choice test is not the best choice because it limits responses to provided options. Standardized assessment is different because it uses uniform procedures and scoring. Norm-referenced assessment does not fit because it compares performance to a group. Question 60. Students in a learning lab discuss why learners receive a scoring guide describing levels for evidence, clarity, and accuracy. Which concept gives the best explanation? Option A, norm table. Option B, checklist. Option C, rubric. Option D, syllabus. The correct answer is option C, rubric. This describes rubric because a rubric lists criteria and performance levels for judging work. Norm table is not the best choice because it helps interpret scores against a sample. Checklist is different because it often marks whether elements are present without quality levels. Syllabus does not fit because it outlines course policies and topics. Question 61. Teachers in an after-school class wonder why a teacher moves learners from remembering facts to evaluating arguments and creating projects. Which principle applies? Option A, Bloom taxonomy. Option B, Kohlberg stages. Option C, Erikson stages. Option D, Maslow hierarchy. The correct answer is option A, Bloom taxonomy. This describes Bloom taxonomy because the taxonomy organizes cognitive tasks from lower to higher levels of thinking. Kohlberg stages is not the best choice because it describes moral reasoning. Erikson stages is different because it describes psychosocial development. Maslow hierarchy does not fit because it organizes human needs. Question 62. Can Kevin treat a learner with a qualifying disability has a legal plan with goals and services as evidence of which concept? Option A, individualized education program. Option B, lesson plan. Option C, norming report. Option D, rubric. The correct answer is option A, individualized education program. This describes individualized education program because an IEP documents specialized instruction, supports, goals, and services for eligible students. Lesson plan is not the best choice because it guides a teacher's daily instruction, but is not a special education legal document. Norming report is different because it summarizes comparison data. Rubric does not fit because it scores performance. Question 63. If Kevin must answer quickly, which idea is signaled when a learner with a disability learns with non-disabled peers as much as appropriate? Option A, retention. Option B, standardization. Option C, least restrictive environment. Option D, tracking. The correct answer is option C, least restrictive environment. This describes least restrictive environment because students should be educated in settings that provide access while avoiding unnecessary separation. Retention is not the best choice because it keeps a student in the same grade. Standardization is different because it keeps testing procedures uniform. Tracking does not fit because it groups students by perceived ability. Question 64. Rather than guessing, Kevin should connect a learner gets extended time while the learning target stays the same with which concept? Option A, acceleration. Option B, modification. Option C, punishment. Option D, accommodation. The correct answer is option D, accommodation. This describes accommodation because access is adjusted without changing the essential learning expectation. Acceleration is not the best choice because it moves a learner ahead faster. Modification is different because it changes the learning expectation or task level. Punishment does not fit because it reduces unwanted behavior through consequences. Question 65. Curiosity rises when Kevin reads that a learner completes a simplified assignment with different learning expectations. Which term solves the puzzle? Option A, scaffolding. Option B, accommodation. Option C, modification. Option D, universal screening. The correct answer is option C, modification. This describes modification because the task or standard is changed to fit the learner's instructional level. Scaffolding is not the best choice because it gives temporary support toward the same goal. Accommodation is different because it changes access while keeping the same standard. Universal screening does not fit because it checks all learners for risk. Question 66. A CLEP-style scenario says a strong thinker struggles with accurate word decoding and benefits from structured phonics. Which answer best captures it for Kevin? Option A, dyscalculia support. Option B, behavior contract. Option C, dyslexia support. Option D, percentile rank. The correct answer is option C, dyslexia support. This describes dyslexia support because dyslexia commonly affects word reading and decoding, so explicit structured literacy support can help. Dyscalculia support is not the best choice because it focuses on math-related difficulties. Behavior contract is different because it targets behavior goals. Percentile rank does not fit because it reports relative test standing. Question 67. Inside an online prep session, Kevin studies why a learner focuses better with short tasks, movement breaks, and clear routines. Which concept fits? Option A, gifted compacting. Option B, ADHD classroom support. Option C, criterion testing. Option D, classical conditioning. The correct answer is option B, ADHD classroom support. This describes ADHD classroom support because structured routines and attention supports can reduce distractions and support self-management. Gifted compacting is not the best choice because it removes already mastered work for advanced learners. Criterion testing is different because it compares performance to standards. Classical conditioning does not fit because it links stimuli with responses. Question 68. Looking at the clue that an advanced learner skips mastered work and uses time for deeper enrichment, which idea should Kevin remember? Option A, retention. Option B, curriculum compacting. Option C, remediation. Option D, extinction. The correct answer is option B, curriculum compacting. This describes curriculum compacting because already mastered content is reduced so the learner can pursue more challenging work. Retention is not the best choice because it repeats a grade or course. Remediation is different because it redirects skills that are not yet mastered. Extinction does not fit because it removes reinforcement to reduce a behavior. Question 69. Kevin sees that examples, discussion norms, and materials connect learning to learners' cultural backgrounds during a practice test workshop. Which concept best explains it? Option A, culturally responsive teaching. Option B, colorblind teaching. Option C, ability tracking. Option D, standardized testing. The correct answer is option A, culturally responsive teaching. This describes culturally responsive teaching because instruction uses students' cultural knowledge and experiences as assets for learning. Colorblind teaching is not the best choice because it ignores cultural differences rather than using them constructively. Ability tracking is different because it separates students by perceived ability. Standardized testing does not fit because it keeps procedures uniform. Question 70. When Kevin notices that an assessment unfairly disadvantages a group because examples depend on unfamiliar cultural knowledge in a tutoring table, which idea is being tested? Option A, standard deviation. Option B, test bias. Option C, reliability. Option D, validity evidence. The correct answer is option B, test bias. This describes test bias because bias occurs when irrelevant factors give some groups an unfair advantage or disadvantage. Standard deviation is not the best choice because it describes score spread. Reliability is different because it concerns score consistency. Validity evidence does not fit because it supports appropriate score interpretation. Question 71. During a classroom discussion, Kevin studies a case where learners transition quickly because procedures for materials and movement are practiced daily. Which term fits best? Option A, summative testing. Option B, accommodation. Option C, classroom routines. Option D, random reinforcement. The correct answer is option C, classroom routines. This describes classroom routines because clear repeated procedures reduce confusion and support orderly learning time. Summative testing is not the best choice because it evaluates final achievement. Accommodation is different because it adjusts access for a learner. Random reinforcement does not fit because it gives rewards unpredictably. Question 72. In a quick quiz review, Kevin asks why learners earn points for target behaviors and trade them for privileges. Which answer names the idea? Option A, logical consequence. Option B, token economy. Option C, classical conditioning. Option D, mastery learning. The correct answer is option B, token economy. This describes token economy because tokens serve as conditioned reinforcers that can be exchanged for backup rewards. Logical consequence is not the best choice because it is connected naturally to misbehavior. Classical conditioning is different because it links two stimuli rather than using exchangeable rewards. Mastery learning does not fit because it requires meeting standards before moving forward. Question 73. After reading that a learner who misuses lab materials must repair the setup and review safety steps, how should Kevin label the concept? Option A, unrelated punishment. Option B, extinction. Option C, logical consequence. Option D, negative reinforcement. The correct answer is option C, logical consequence. This describes logical consequence because the consequence is related to the behavior and helps restore responsible action. Unrelated punishment is not the best choice because it does not connect meaningfully to the behavior. Extinction is different because it withholds reinforcement to reduce behavior. Negative reinforcement does not fit because it increases behavior by removing an unpleasant condition. Question 74. For a short exam review, Kevin connects a teacher spots small off-task behavior early while continuing the lesson smoothly with which principle? Option A, with witness. Option B, self-efficacy. Option C, wait time. Option D, scaffolding. The correct answer is option A, with witness. This describes with witness because with witness means awareness of classroom events and quick response before problems grow. Self-efficacy is not the best choice because it is belief in capability. Wait time is different because it is a pause after asking a question. Scaffolding does not fit because it gives temporary learning support. Question 75. Could a case where a teacher pauses several seconds after asking a question before calling on anyone be an example of which concept for Kevin? Option A, response cost. Option B, wait time. Option C, with witness. Option D, distributed practice. The correct answer is option B, wait time. This describes wait time because wait time gives students more processing time and often improves response quality. Response cost is not the best choice because it removes a privilege after behavior. With witness is different because it is awareness of classroom behavior. Distributed practice does not fit because it spreads study sessions over time. Question 76. Why would Kevin link a prompt asks learners to explain several possible reasons instead of choosing one fact to one major educational psychology idea? Option A, fixed ratio schedule. Option B, closed question. Option C, recall cue. Option D, open-ended questioning. The correct answer is option D, open-ended questioning. This describes open-ended questioning because open-ended questions invite elaboration, reasoning, and multiple defensible responses. Fixed ratio schedule is not the best choice because it reinforces after a set number of responses. Closed question is different because it usually has one brief answer. Recall cue does not fit because it simply prompts memory of stored information. Question 77. A practice item tells Kevin that a teacher tells a learner exactly what worked and what to revise next. Which concept is most likely? Option A, effective feedback. Option B, general praise. Option C, summative grade only. Option D, random correction. The correct answer is option A, effective feedback. This describes effective feedback because specific, timely feedback helps learners close the gap between current and desired performance. General praise is not the best choice because it may feel positive but gives little guidance. Summative grade only is different because it reports performance without next steps. Random correction does not fit because it lacks targeted connection to the learning goal. Question 78. Before answering, Kevin identifies that a learner sets a goal, monitors progress, changes strategies, and reflects after studying. Which term should be chosen? Option A, object permanence. Option B, social facilitation. Option C, operant conditioning. Option D, self-regulated learning. The correct answer is option D, self-regulated learning. This describes self-regulated learning because learners actively plan, monitor, control, and evaluate their learning. Object permanence is not the best choice because it concerns infant understanding of hidden objects. Social facilitation is different because it concerns performance changes in the presence of others. Operant conditioning does not fit because it emphasizes consequences shaping behavior. Question 79. Which choice helps Kevin explain why learners take turns summarizing, questioning, clarifying, and predicting during reading in a peer study circle? Option A, reciprocal teaching. Option B, token economy. Option C, random assignment. Option D, direct instruction. The correct answer is option A, reciprocal teaching. This describes reciprocal teaching because the strategy uses structured dialogue to improve comprehension. Token economy is not the best choice because it uses symbolic rewards. Random assignment is different because it assigns participants to groups by chance. Direct instruction does not fit because it is mainly teacher-led explanation and practice. Question 80. How can Kevin classify a classroom moment where one student guides another through practice while both receive learning benefits? Option A, peer tutoring. Option B, portfolio assessment. Option C, tracking. Option D, lecture. The correct answer is option A, peer tutoring. This describes peer tutoring because students support each other's learning through structured helper-learner roles. Portfolio assessment is not the best choice because it collects work samples over time. Tracking is different because it separates students into ability groups. Lecture does not fit because it is teacher presentation to a group. Question 81. Suppose Kevin observes that a child identifies that cat and cup begin with the same spoken sound. Which concept is shown? Option A, morphology. Option B, phonemic awareness. Option C, syntax. Option D, phonics. The correct answer is option B, phonemic awareness. This describes phonemic awareness because the learner is attending to individual sounds in spoken language. Morphology is not the best choice because it studies meaningful word parts. Syntax is different because it concerns sentence structure. Phonics does not fit because it links sounds to printed letters. Question 82. While reviewing, Kevin sees a learner improves a skill after watching a competent model demonstrate each step. Which idea matches the situation? Option A, Skinner shaping. Option B, Bandura modeling. Option C, Maslow needs. Option D, Piaget conservation. The correct answer is option B, Bandura modeling. This describes Bandura modeling because Bandura emphasized learning by observing models and the outcomes of their actions. Skinner shaping is not the best choice because it reinforces gradual behavior changes through consequences. Maslow needs is different because it explains motivation through layered needs. Piaget conservation does not fit because it concerns logical understanding of quantity. Question 83. One interesting clue says family, school, peers, community, and culture all shape a child's development. Which educational psychology term fits for Kevin? Option A, Kohlberg moral stages. Option B, Bernfenbrenner ecological systems. Option C, information processing. Option D, Erikson psychosocial stages. The correct answer is option B, Bernfenbrenner ecological systems. This describes Bernfenbrenner ecological systems because development is influenced by nested environmental systems around the child. Kohlberg moral stages is not the best choice because it focuses on moral reasoning. Information processing is different because it compares thinking to mental processing systems. Erikson psychosocial stages does not fit because it focuses on lifespan social-emotional conflicts. Question 84. From this example, where a young child uses a caregiver as a safe base and seeks comfort after stress, which answer should Kevin select? Option A, secure attachment. Option B, authoritarian parenting. Option C, avoidant attachment. Option D, industry versus inferiority. The correct answer is option A, secure attachment. This describes secure attachment because secure attachment involves trust in caregiver availability and comfort. Authoritarian parenting is not the best choice because it describes strict parenting style. Avoidant attachment is different because it shows reduced seeking of comfort. Industry versus inferiority does not fit because it is a school-age psychosocial conflict. Question 85. Students in a tutoring table discuss why two infants differ early in activity level, mood, and adaptability. Which concept gives the best explanation? Option A, self-concept. Option B, criterion validity. Option C, temperament. Option D, moral reasoning. The correct answer is option C, temperament. This describes temperament because temperament refers to biologically influenced patterns of emotional and behavioral response. Self-concept is not the best choice because it is a person's view of self. Criterion validity is different because it links test scores to an outcome. Moral reasoning does not fit because it concerns judgments about right and wrong. Question 86. Teachers in a classroom discussion wonder why a child says goad because a regular grammar rule is applied too broadly. Which principle applies? Option A, code switching. Option B, telegraphic speech. Option C, babbling. Option D, language overgeneralization. The correct answer is option D, language overgeneralization. This describes language overgeneralization because the child applies a learned language rule to an irregular case. Code switching is not the best choice because it shifts language varieties based on context. Telegraphic speech is different because it uses short two-word phrases. Babbling does not fit because it is early sound play. Question 87. Can Kevin treat learners explain whether a character should break a rule to help someone in need as evidence of which concept? Option A, achievement test. Option B, behavior checklist. Option C, aptitude test. Option D, moral dilemma assessment. The correct answer is option D, moral dilemma assessment. This describes moral dilemma assessment because moral dilemmas reveal the reasoning behind judgments, not just the choice itself. Achievement test is not the best choice because it measures learned academic content. Behavior checklist is different because it records observed behaviors. Aptitude test does not fit because it predicts future learning potential. Question 88. If Kevin must answer quickly, which idea is signaled when a study finds that homework time and test scores rise together without proving cause? Option A, ethnography. Option B, experimental research. Option C, case study. Option D, correlational research. The correct answer is option D, correlational research. This describes correlational research because correlation shows a relationship between variables but does not establish causation. Ethnography is not the best choice because it studies culture through immersion. Experimental research is different because it manipulates variables to test cause and effect. Case study does not fit because it examines one person or small group deeply. Question 89. Rather than guessing, Kevin should connect participants are placed into tutoring or no tutoring groups by chance with which concept? Option A, random sampling. Option B, convenience sampling. Option C, matching. Option D, random assignment. The correct answer is option D, random assignment. This describes random assignment because chance placement helps make groups similar before the treatment begins. Random sampling is not the best choice because it selects participants from a population. Convenience sampling is different because it uses whoever is easily available. Matching does not fit because it pairs participants on key traits. Question 90. Curiosity rises when Kevin reads that a researcher changes the type of feedback learners receive. Which term solves the puzzle? Option A, independent variable. Option B, confounding variable. Option C, dependent variable. Option D, control variable. The correct answer is option A, independent variable. This describes independent variable because the independent variable is the factor the researcher manipulates. Confounding variable is not the best choice because it is an unwanted factor that may affect results. Dependent variable is different because it is the measured outcome. Control variable does not fit because it is held constant. Question 91. A CLEP-style scenario says a researcher measures quiz scores after using two different teaching methods. Which answer best captures it for Kevin? Option A, dependent variable. Option B, independent variable. Option C, extraneous variable. Option D, random assignment. The correct answer is option A, dependent variable. This describes dependent variable because the dependent variable is the outcome measured to see whether the treatment had an effect. Independent variable is not the best choice because it is the factor manipulated. Extraneous variable is different because it is an outside influence. Random assignment does not fit because it is a grouping procedure. Question 92. Inside a student coaching session, Kevin studies why one group receives regular instruction while another receives a new memory strategy. Which concept fits? Option A, sample. Option B, experimental group. Option C, population. Option D, control group. The correct answer is option D, control group. This describes control group because the control group provides a comparison for judging the effect of the treatment. Sample is not the best choice because it is the set of participants studied. Experimental group is different because it receives the treatment being tested. Population does not fit because it is the larger group of interest. Question 93. Looking at the clue that a teacher adds all quiz scores and divides by the number of learners, which idea should Kevin remember? Option A, mode. Option B, median. Option C, mean. Option D, range. The correct answer is option C, mean. This describes mean because the mean is the arithmetic average of a set of scores. Mode is not the best choice because it is the most frequent score. Median is different because it is the middle score. Range does not fit because it is the difference between highest and lowest scores. Question 94. Kevin sees that a teacher wants to know how spread out the class scores are around the average during a peer study circle. Which concept best explains it? Option A, standard deviation. Option B, percentile rank. Option C, raw score. Option D, mean. The correct answer is option A, standard deviation. This describes standard deviation because standard deviation describes typical distance of scores from the mean. Percentile rank is not the best choice because it shows relative standing. Raw score is different because it is the number of points earned. Mean does not fit because it gives the average but not spread. Question 95. When Kevin notices that a learner's report says the score is higher than the scores of 80% of the norm group in a Bright Review class, which idea is being tested? Option A, percentile rank. Option B, grade equivalent. Option C, standard deviation. Option D, percentage correct. The correct answer is option A, percentile rank. This describes percentile rank because percentile rank tells the percentage of comparison scores at or below a student's score. Grade equivalent is not the best choice because it estimates grade level performance, often imperfectly. Standard deviation is different because it describes score spread. Percentage correct does not fit because it reports items answered correctly. Question 96. During a quiet study group, Kevin studies a case where learners improve partly because they know they are being studied. Which term fits best? Option A, Hawthorne effect. Option B, testing effect. Option C, observer bias. Option D, placebo effect. The correct answer is option A, Hawthorne effect. This describes Hawthorne effect because participants may change behavior simply because they are receiving attention in a study. Testing effect is not the best choice because it improves learning through retrieval practice. Observer bias is different because it occurs when researcher expectations shape recording. Placebo effect does not fit because it involves improvement from belief in a treatment. Question 97. In an online prep session, Kevin asks why learners improve over a semester because they naturally grew older, not because of the program. Which answer names the idea? Option A, maturation threat. Option B, selection bias. Option C, regression to the mean. Option D, instrumentation threat. The correct answer is option A, maturation threat. This describes maturation threat because changes due to natural development can threaten conclusions about a treatment's effect. Selection bias is not the best choice because it occurs when groups differ before a treatment. Regression to the mean is different because it occurs when extreme scores move closer to average later. Instrumentation threat does not fit because it occurs when measurement changes over time. Question 98. After reading that a researcher records detailed notes about classroom interactions instead of only counting scores, how should Kevin label the concept? Option A, qualitative observation. Option B, random assignment. Option C, meta-analysis. Option D, standardized testing. The correct answer is option A, qualitative observation. This describes qualitative observation because qualitative methods focus on rich descriptions and meanings in context. Random assignment is not the best choice because it places participants into groups by chance. Meta-analysis is different because it statistically combines many studies. Standardized testing does not fit because it uses uniform measurement procedures. Question 99. For a short exam review, Kevin connects a teacher studies the effect of a new discussion routine in the teacher's own classroom with which principle? Option A, action research. Option B, laboratory experiment. Option C, survey research. Option D, longitudinal research. The correct answer is option A, action research. This describes action research because practitioners investigate their own settings to improve local practice. Laboratory experiment is not the best choice because it tests variables in a controlled setting. Survey research is different because it gathers responses from questionnaires. Longitudinal research does not fit because it follows participants over time. Question 100. Could a case where families are told the study purpose, risks, and rights before agreeing to participate be an example of which concept for Kevin? Option A. Informed consent. Option B. Random assignment. Option C. Debriefing. Option D. Confidentiality. The correct answer is option A. Informed consent. This describes informed consent because participants or guardians must understand key information and voluntarily agree. Random assignment is not the best choice because it assigns participants to groups by chance. Debriefing is different because it explains details after participation. Confidentiality does not fit because it protects private data.